Hello everyone, welcome to Movie Maven. Today I'm going to tell you about a 2007 British science fiction film called Flawless. There are spoilers ahead, so watch out and stay aware. At the beginning of our story, we see a hand bathing in mud and finding something that looks like precious stones. These stones are actually rough diamonds. After that, we are brought to busy London, where we notice an elderly lady named Laura Quinn sitting in a cafe. She is visited by a guest, a young newspaper reporter named Cassie, who hopes to write an article about a woman while they talk. Laura pulls out a 168-carat diamond that has 58 facets, and Cassie is amazed by it all. She handed the diamond to Cassie's hand and Laura begins to tell stories about how she stole this diamond from London Diamond Company. After that, we are transported to London in the 1960s. Laura is a young businesswoman. She leaves the building of the London Diamond Corporation, where she works as a manager in the company. She says hello to an elderly janitor named Mr. Hobbs, and we see a man named Mr. Eaton, followed by two men with small carts. Eaton opens a large vault, and after that, they load the diamond carts and take them to the tables, where they check for defects. Outside, the owner of the company, known as MK, and his son Ali approach the building. At this point, a lot of protesters flock to them. As they walk into the director's office, employees wait to discuss the latest news about the 100 diamond miners who have died in mines in Africa. Laura informs MK that the Russians are likely to break off relations with the company due to negative information in the press, while MK announces the appointment of a new managing director, who will be Peter Boland. Laura is not chosen because the company will not break with tradition and will always appoint only men. Later, we see Mr. Hobbs, a janitor, enter Laura's office. He tells her that he thinks people should be brave and take what they want. Laura, on the other hand, leaves the building after that as usual and goes home. The next day, in the hallway, he meets a man named Harold Reynolds, whom she met at Oxford University. He gives Laura a business card and invites her to work for his company. The next morning, she finds her inspirational note and the negative answer written below. She also finds a movie ticket with the time of the session on the back. Curiosity takes over her and at lunchtime she goes to the movies. When Laura walks into the theater, Mr. Hobbs appears and invites her to sit down together. The girl loses patience, but the man says that he overheard the director's conversation that her work would soon be completed. He offers her a plan to steal enough diamonds to get rich, but not enough to get noticed. The woman is not sure whether to believe it or not, and warns Hobbs that he will never get away with it. Later, Laura finds a letter of resignation at work. Then she decides to make an appointment with Reynolds. When Laura comes to his restaurant, he tells him that his company can't offer her a job because she's not competent. It seems that her company has spread bad rumors about her. That night, the girl falls asleep on the couch and she has a dream about security guards at work who catch her trying to steal diamonds from the company. The next evening, she goes on a greyhound race to find Hobbs. There, a woman asks him how he can rob a company, and Hobbs tells her that he has a plan. In the apartment, the man explains everything he has thought of. Since the vault codes change weekly, he will need Laura to find records on how to open the safe. They are in MK's office, which is in his house. Hobbs tells Laura that when she goes to an event to entertain the Russians, she will have to find the codes at MK's house. He also explains to her that he will be able to pick up all the diamonds they need in his thermos so that they can both rest comfortably until the end of retirement. On the night of the event, Laura talks to MK's deputy, Mr. Jameson. He tells the girl how Sir Sinclair, the director of an insurance company, was once seen in a health insurance scandal, but was not prosecuted. After that, MK introduces them to Dmitriev, the head of the Russian diamond department. Dmitriev invites Laura to a dance, and later our girl goes upstairs to MK's office to find the security code. Laura hears footsteps and quickly hides, at which point MK enters. He opens a small safe, and the girl watches him and remembers everything that needs to be done to open the safe. As soon as the man leaves, she opens the box and finds the security code. The next day, Laura sees the men installing security cameras in the hallway. Later, he meets Hobbs and informs him that 8 CCTV cameras are being installed. She tells him that the camera turns on and off for 60 seconds at a time. He also assures that he has enough time to enter and exit the vault. Hobbs then washes the floor in the security room and detects the cameras. In the restroom, he looks at the stopwatch and makes his move. Looking at the running arrow, he runs to the vault and enters the code. Meanwhile, Laura calls the security room to distract everyone and give Hobbs a little more time. The man, on the other hand, looks at his stopwatch again. and then he opens the vault and quickly hurries through the corridors, hiding from the field of view of the cameras. The next morning, Laura watches Hobbs and sees him leave work, but one of the clerks takes him back inside. Hobbs must unlock the toilet before he leaves. After that, the man still returns home and pours tea from a thermos into the sink at home, but, unfortunately, there are no diamonds there. The next day, all the diamond sorters go home. Laura goes down to the lobby and finds Jameson in a panic. She immediately goes to the women's restroom, at which point Mr. Eaton calls her to bring her to the vault. When she comes in, she can't believe her eyes. The storage is empty. Mr. Eaton shows a man named Finch the plans of the buildings, tells him that the only way to the vault is through the door. Now MK is telling the entire management that there will be no police investigation, because publicity will destroy the company. Sinclair, on the other hand, presents Finch as the chief insurance investigator. Laura blames Hobbs on the lobby, but he assures her that everything is fine. Later, the girl goes to the MK office, and we see a man named Boyle who sends a letter to MK about the purchase of some inventory. Apparently, Boyle does not know about the identity of his client and the content of the letter. At this point, the man is called for a phone call, and while he is gone, MK reads a letter stating that diamonds can be redeemed for £100 million. Before leaving, Boyle hands over a small package to MK. The man opens this package, which contains a huge diamond known as the South African Star. Later, Finch asks Laura a few questions and notices that she is very nervous. The next morning, Laura suggests that Jameson work with Finch to help with his investigation. The girl finds Finch and together they go down to the shelter. He tells her that the security cameras are not very secure because of the 60-second time span. Finch also explains that there was no hacking. It also suggests that the thief must have known the combination. After that, we see Sinclair offering MK a check for £5 million to buy enough diamonds for the trade position, but MK wants to return all the diamonds right now. When Finch speculates that Ollie's sons may have been involved, the man loses his temper and threatens to ruin Sinclair if he doesn't pay the ransom. Now we see Hobbs in the underground channel. Laura tells him that they must return the diamonds and make a deal, but he explains that if she does, they will go to jail. Afterward, Laura looks at the plan of the building as Finch enters to take her fingerprints. He says it's just for formality, and then the man asks her to accompany him while he questions Hobbs. Finch asks the man various questions and at this moment the assistant of our detective enters the review of that. Before Hobbs leaves the office, Laura tells him that they will have to negotiate or they will go to jail. The man explains that this case costs 100 lives in prison. Afterward, we see Finch looking at Laura's prints and comparing them to some of them from the MK house. Laura, on the other hand, opens Hobbs' locker in her spare time to find the key to the diamonds. Later, she joins Finch for a drink at a nearby bar. The London Diamond Building is arrived by journalists after Sinclair says that the diamonds have been lost. Sinclair's chairman, Sir Gottfried, is trying to restrain the press. MK comes down the stairs at this point and has a heart attack. He falls to the floor, which is why he dies. Upon returning, Finch asks Laura how she managed to retrieve all the diamonds, but she assures him that she is not that smart. At this point, Finch is informed of MK's heart attack and leaves. In the women's restroom, Laura drops a diamond from her earring into the sink drain. She pulls the pole out from under the sink and suddenly realizes how Hobbs must have taken all the diamonds. Laura takes the torch and enters the underground drainage system. As she walks through the tunnels, Hobbs appears with a torch. She threatens to hand him over, but the man points the gun at him and says she's going to stay here. Then she sees a huge diamond on the floor, which she puts in her pocket. Hobbs tells Laura that his wife's cancer could have been removed, but the insurance company made her wait too long for surgery. By then, the cancer had become too aggressive. Sinclair was at the time the chairman of the insurance company that postponed the operation. So Laura realizes that Hobbs is taking revenge on Sinclair. The man tells the woman that Sinclair took the only thing he really loved. After that, we see Gottfried informing Sinclair that he has agreed to pay a ransom of £100 million as well. Sinclair, on the other hand, goes to the office and shoots himself. Laura tells Hobbs how she dropped the diamond into the sink and then figured it out. Now we see memories of Hobbs taking all the diamonds in his work cart to his workshop at regular intervals. Ollie receives a message that the ransom has been credited to the account, but a note from Boyle showing the location of the diamonds is empty. After that, we see Hobbs pouring diamonds into the sink, and the South African Star was actually at the bottom of the toilet bowl which Hobbs was asked to remove. Now the man points the gun at Laura and pulls the trigger. To her surprise, the gun was not loaded. He also says that it doesn't matter now, because the money will be paid. The man turns off the flashlight and leaves, while Laura walks through the tunnel and looks into every corner. Eventually, She finds all the diamonds piled up in a pile at the end of the gutter. After that, we see men carrying boxes of diamonds out of an underground tunnel, and Laura sits on the steps wrapped in a blanket. Finch tells her that he lost 5% of his royalties because she found the diamonds. Laura, on the other hand, is about to make a confession, but Finch stops her at the last moment. He says he wouldn't want her to spend the rest of her life in jail. The man says goodbye and leaves. Laura, on the other hand, remembers that she has a large diamond in her pocket, but decides to keep it for herself. After that, we see Ollie inform the press that the diamonds have not been stolen, and then allows them to take pictures of the entire vault. Dmitriev, on the other hand, signs the contract again to consolidate his relationship with the company. Going back to today, Laura talks to Casey again. She says she left the company a month later as soon as she received a letter from a Swiss bank informing her of the transfer of £100 million to her account. Laura gives Casey the manuscript of her story for publication, hoping that it will inspire other women as well. At the end, we see Laura donate all the money to deserving charities around the world. Casey, on the other hand, reads the last words of the manuscript and sees what it says: "It's a remarkable world out there. Will you be a giver or taker?" She goes outside to find Laura, but she is already gone. Guys, do you like this video? Don't forget to write about it in the comments. Put likes to promote the channel. Turn on notifications and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.